Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy.
Coming from Hawaii, what does public and private space mean to you?
Standing around, people give each other a little bit of space, but we always come up and greet each other with a kiss and a hug.
So, how is it different being in France?
In France, it seems a little bit more rehearsed with the right and the left for the faire la bise, but it's pretty similar. I feel that in Hawaii, people are more willing to go up to strangers and say hi to strangers and stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty similar.
Do you think like the personal bubble is different too? Like people get closer in Hawaii or here?
And I feel like they get a little bit closer in Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as greeting people goes, in America we don't kiss people, like even our parents, but apparently in Europe it's totally normal. We're more like maybe hug your close friends, a casual handshake, but here it's all about, kissing on the two cheeks, so that took 1 or 2 times to get used to, but I think it's kind of nice now.
The main thing for me is definitely the tone of the voice. That's definitely been the most noticeable difference, the most noticeable aspect of the French language. I was in a meeting with my boss, and I had to ask her if "ça suffit," if I said it like "je pense que ça suffit," like I think that's enough, was rude, because I've heard so many times people yelling "ça suffit," and that means like that's enough. But if you say like "ça suffit," I still didn't know if it was still rude to say "ça suffit" in any event that wasn't in a rude manner. So definitely the tone of voice. I haven't really noticed much about proximity, but the most that I've really noticed as well has been la bise, and I've seen multiple greetings going along, conversations where groups of 4, maybe 2 people do la bise, but then someone else just stands there and says hello, because they obviously haven't met, and you can tell who's new and who's established in a group of friends based on their greeting. So like if I meet my good old friend and do la bise and introduce another friend, they're probably going to shake hands, wave, maybe a high five, but in the States there's nothing to the equivalent of la bise, and that's definitely a difference between the French and the Americans, but even with something else there's nothing similar. Everybody in America thinks the French are, they don't go to, they don't fight, surrender, all these different stereotypes, eat cheese, baguettes, drink wine, don't do work. Obviously, it's not so much stereotypes as there are coincidences and common themes, I believe, is something that I've learned since being here. Yes, they make good bread and good cheese, but that's not all they eat. They like to take breaks, but that's not the only thing they do. It's just a common theme that they take breaks. And it's not so much a stereotype. It doesn't get into, in my opinion, their effort and their work ethic. So it's not so much that they don't work, it's that they take pride in taking breaks and being with family, taking personal time, making sure the self is good before the self exerts effort and does work. So whereas in America, you work and you study until you crash, and then you wake up the next morning only to do it again. Where in France, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about your work. As well, the obvious stereotype in France is the stereotype of the North being anything goes almost. So I never got that in America because we never really were taught about the different regions in France. We only were taught Paris, and that's it. So coming to the North, I really didn't know the main stereotype of the Ch'ti stereotype and stuff like that until coming here. But whatever stereotype was, was occurring when I was here in 2011 or before I came here in 2011 for the summer program is completely different. Because the North has taken me in like their own, like a son, and has given me a second home and definitely a good groundwork and a good framework for me to go onwards, and for me to really find a good place to settle and be a citizen. It's a wonderful, beautiful place.
Before I got to France, I heard that French people didn't like Americans, and that was an incorrect stereotype. They seem to love Americans, and everyone smokes. I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that's correct. Yeah, they like their bread, they enjoy their pastries, and I like that.
Canadians apologize and apologize for apologizing and apologize for apologizing. Say a lot, just know if you understood. And if you're a French stereotype, we get along pretty well because French people and some Canadian people speak French, and so they hate our accent, but they can kind of understand us.
What about French people? What's the stereotype for them?
In Canada, all the Quebecois think that people from France are very like haughty and stuck up. Think that they're better than like the regional kind of patois. But now that I'm here, it's the same thing with Paris and the North region. So it's not.
One thing I can't get over is that they give you coffee in plastic cups. I am highly aware that I'm going to die from cancer from this melting plastic at a young age.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it.
A little bit. France is much smaller. I guess there's lots of people in a smaller area. I think Canada's only like half the size of France, in like 30 times the landmass. But it's really nice. I like it a lot. If I had culture shock, it would probably be everybody is very friendly and close. I guess perhaps as a result of being growing up close to with other people. In Canada, you keep your distance, unless you're trying to stay warm, in which case you double close.
I didn't really have culture shock coming here, probably because I came with a group of other students from NC State, but also once you get over the fact that there's like no water fountains and the bathrooms are weird and sometimes you have to pay, it's not too different or difficult to adjust to.